Hey everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today, let me take you into an absolutely fun video. This one is how we're going to be making chocolate jam donuts, and not normal chocolate jam donuts, but ones in the shape of a bath bomb. So we're going to have, the jam is going to be like a powdered red in the middle. So when you pop your bath bomb into the bath, it will smell like gorgeous chocolate. But then of course, once it starts to do its little thing and spin, then of course the red will come out, and then that will be like the jam bit in the donut. But anyway, I've been thinking about this for a little bit of a while, and I thought maybe you guys might want to come along and see how fun this is. If you have kids like me, your children would absolutely love this one. It would be so much fun. But do remember, when we're making anything that looks like food, you really do need to put a warning on it to say this is not food really clearly. It cannot be consumed or eaten or anything like that. But anyway, let's get going with the fun bit, and I will take you along as I'm going to make this bath bomb. Let's go. All right, everyone, so here I have these gorgeous little jars. They're just glass, and the one thing I love about these is you can reuse them time and time again. So I got these ones from a little place called String and Salt, and that is where I live in Warragul, Victoria, which is out in Gippsland. So it's a little shop, and they actually send things everywhere. And if anyone is looking for some beautiful botanicals, dried things, hibiscus that you can use in soap as well to make it turn beautiful colours, they actually do have all of it there. So I'll actually pop down a link in the description box where you can just message them, and they send things all over Australia. So anyway, they're an amazing company. And these are only a couple dollars. They're glass. You can reuse them again, which is really good for the environment as well. So all I'm going to do from here is I do have my dye here. So this is what we're going to be using just to make the jam looking thing in the center. So we're going to make like a bit of a powder in the middle of the bath bomb, and this color here is from Sud Off in Australia. So it is this one here, which is Extreme Cherry Red. And what we're going to do is make a red center in the middle. So when you're doing just a powder for your bath bombs, you need equal parts of bicarbonate soda and citric acid. So it's not the half. Usually you would do 100 grams in bicarb, 50 in citric, but for this, to do this middle bit and make it do its fun bit in the bath, then we need to have equal parts. So in here, first of all, we're going to be just making up the dye. So all it is just a mixture of the dye, which I do have here, and of course some water. So I always keep water in a little container like this, and all we're going to do is pour a small amount. It's about half a tablespoon, to be honest, but I just roughly pour it in because I know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to grab a tiny spoon. Now, do remember, when you're using this, you don't need a heap. I mean, this little spoon that I'm using here is 1/4 of a teaspoon. So all I'm going to do is literally put that much in it. I mean, you don't need much. If you wanted to make it really bright red, we'll put that much in. So let's have a go with the bigger amount. All we're going to do is tap it in, and this is a water-soluble dye for bath bombs. So now we're just going to mix it around. If it sticks to the side, just keep mixing it a little bit. And you don't want to have too much water because we want the mixture to dry a little bit before we pop it into the bath bomb. But it doesn't matter if it dries or not, and it will go hard if you leave this as well. But don't worry about that. If it goes hard at all, you can just sort of break it, because you only want little pieces to put in the middle, and no one's going to see this anyway. It's just going to go in the center of our donut bath bomb. So anyway, let's get going. So that's all we're going to be doing. And now I'm going to be organizing, like I said, some bicarbonate soda and some citric acid. So let's go and get that. So let's go and get some of the bicarb. So I thought I would show you the ones that I use. So this is the bicarbonate soda that I use, and I always say this is an American food grade as well. And then this is the citric acid that I use, for anyone that wants to know. Obviously, I buy these in massive big bags because I make thousands and thousands of bath bombs. And then this is the water I use, which I get this water from my local department store. And then if you want to get all your citric acids and everything in Australia, I use a company called N Essentials. And Heirloom in Australia also sell exactly the same bicarb. And I used to get it from Heirloom, but unfortunately the freight's just a bit too expensive to get it shipped to Melbourne, and with the shipping at the moment with COVID, it's just really tricky. So that's why I use N Essentials, and I can just pick it up. So I thought maybe on my way of doing this video, I'll also show you just how I get my products. So if you can see here along the road, just in this line, this is where I keep everything. So it's my bicarb, my citric acid, and this citric acid is much finer than a lot of them, so it makes a smoother bath bomb. And this is how I get my sweet almond oil in massive big drums as well. And then I do get drums of everything. This is actually in here. This is my shea butter, so I do buy that in 30 kilos, or depends how you want to buy it, but usually 2 lots of 20 or 30s. And so on. So anyway, but let's get going and I'll organize the rest. So now we're going to be making, like I said, the powder that's going to go inside, which will look like the jam. So here I just have my jar, and then of course I have a little sifter. This is just a baby sifter, and all I need to know now is that this is all right on the scale. So the scale says 0 at the bottom, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of bicarb in the top. So I just need about 100 grams, because I'm only making a small amount. Maybe we'll do 200 actually. We'll just do a little bit more just to make sure I have plenty. But I'm just doing a small batch for this one here. So we're just going to sift all this through. If you were doing a bigger batch, of course you would use a bigger sifter as well. So we'll just pop the sifter, just sift it all in here. And as I said, you know, this is equal parts. So obviously this is my bicarbonate soda. And then the only other thing I'm going to be adding in this is my citric acid. And as we said, we've got 200 grams in here of bicarbonate soda. So we want 200 grams of citric acid. And this is why you sift it, if you can see those big lumps in there. Because imagine if I didn't do that and it would be just really thick and horrible. So that's why I'm actually doing that. And we'll just use the little spatula here. All right, so now I'll just get some citric acid. So once again, the citric acid's going to go in, and we want about 200. So let me just shake this little bit in. And I've got my scale at the bottom, so I know that what's right in there. And you don't have to be too particular either, to be honest. You really don't. It's just approximately the same. So then we're just going to do this. And I'm sorry you've got the back shot of my heaps and heaps of bath bombs that are all drying at the moment. I will take you for a bit of a tour after to show you the bath bombs and what I've been up to at the moment, making them all. And if you're wondering what the scoop is that I'm using, that scoop's actually just a flour scoop. And you actually can get them from your local department stores or your local shopping centre. So I actually just got mine from our actual local shop, which is called Woolworths in Australia. So if any of you are not from Australia, that's what it is. So now we've got this in here. The only thing that we're going to do, which is absolutely so easy, is literally we've got our dye here, and we're just going to pour the dye directly into this. That's all we're going to do. And yeah, and mix it. I mean, it's really simple, isn't it? So there's nothing hard about it. If you're using a stand mixer, honestly, just pop this straight in the stand mixer, and then it will mix it all, and that's all we need to do. So I'm going to just pop some of this probably in the stand mixer, or I will pop on some gloves now and just sifted in my hand. I might actually just pop on some gloves because I don't want to clean the whole stand mixer just for this tiny little bit of dye. So let me move the camera and I'll be back. All right, so I've got another bowl now, so let's just tip it into this to make it easy because I was being really, really lazy. And honestly, I couldn't be bothered. I was thinking, oh, I don't want to put the gloves on. But anyway, I have to stop being lazy and do it. So now it is nighttime. If any of you have noticed, it's a little bit darker in here. It is definitely nighttime for me. But in the day, because I've had so many wholesale orders, I actually need to, you know, keep working night and day at the moment just to make sure I'm getting everything out the door, because I think it's really important that when people are making an order with you that you're really fast at getting your orders out the door, because otherwise they will find someone else if you're not fast enough. So yeah, if you're at the moment toying with the idea of doing wholesale or even starting to sell your products, I really honestly suggest that you make a bit of a plan on how you're going to make them, how much you can make, and so on. So that's what I do, because I just really think it is so important and people want to make sure that you're going to deliver what you promise to deliver. So anyway, but I mean, I've caught up with all of them at the moment. I think over the last 2 weeks I've made a couple thousand bath bombs for orders. But you never want to say no, because you know what? You just don't know when the orders are going to stop, do you? So, or when they're going to slow down. So I always think you want to take it while you can, because you just never know. So anyway, as you can see, I mean, look how gorgeous and red this looks. This is going to be the most beautiful jam kind of donut looking on the inside. Of course, this is a donut. Of course, it's not for eating. It is only you know, just for making it look gorgeous. So as you've seen, all I've used is 200 grams of bicarbonate soda, 200 grams of citric acid, half a tablespoon of water, just distilled water, and then I've used a quarter of a teaspoon of the dyes, the soluble dyes. So the one I've used is, I think it's called SOS Extreme Cherry Red soluble water dye, and that is from Sudoff in Australia. But if you're in another country, you can get soluble dyes from your other places. But when you're getting red, ask them, does this go cherry red? Because some of them go hot pink and not red. Sudoff have another one called acid red, and that turns hot pink. So that's why you really got to ask, because I thought that one should have been red, but it's not. But that was my own fault for not asking. I just, you know, presumed red mean red, but it doesn't. But anyway, so like we said, we've done this. We're going to set this aside, and in the meantime, this will dry out a tiny bit, and then I can get going with my next thing. If you actually wanted to make these into, you know, like some little cubes or something, all you can do, which is so easy, you just get like an ice cube sort of tray or anything else. You might even have like a little silicone sort of mold that has tiny little embed bits in it, and you can just sort of push them into that and then pull them out later on. So honestly, it's just so easy. Like, I use a lot of cubes, so I'll get an ice cube tray and show you what I mean. So these are just the ice cube trays that I use, and you can easily just get this and just literally push it into one hole there. I won't do that because I don't actually want to put it in there, but anyway, that's what you can do. But I'm just going to leave mine, or you can also just lay it down straight on baking paper and cut it into little tiny squares. That's a really easy way to do it as well. Just push it straight down into something and cut it. It's super duper easy. All right, so we'll let this dry out and let's get on to the next bit. I just thought that I would quickly show you how I've done this. All I've done is put it down here, pressed it nice and tight on a piece of greaseproof paper, and then we can just cut it with a butter knife. So anyway, we'll put this aside, like I said, and now I'm going to do the rest. So I'm going to be using some cocoa butter just to make it look really chocolatey and really natural as well. And obviously I've taken the red gloves off, and I will change gloves to get a different set of gloves on. And yeah, so like I said, we're going to use the next bit, and so let's get going and we'll make the next bit and make sure it's super, super fun. So I have organized everything now. So in here I have 2 kilograms of bicarbonate soda. I have actually sifted all of it. We don't want to add our citric acid into this bit yet because we want to do that last. But the great thing about my recipe is I don't have a lot of water in it. My recipe is mostly luxury oils, so that way you never have to worry about it being too wet. If you use, alcohols and waters and lots of witch hazel, then you do need to worry, and you definitely can't add the citric acid with that. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to add, my little sifter on top. And this is in a stand mixer. The best thing is if you have a stand mixer, you can literally just mix it. You put your paddle on your attachment, which we will do, and I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, so anyway, all I have in here now, like I said, is the 2 kilograms of bicarbonate soda. I'm also going to be adding in 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is chocolate cocoa powder. So I want to add 3 because I want this to look really chocolatey. If it doesn't look chocolatey, then I will mix it and I might actually add more in. But I think 3 spoons should be enough to give it that brown kind of chocolatey color. The same thing, do make sure you're sifting everything in as well. Because, we want to make sure that it's all sifted in and making it gorgeous. Of course, later on, I'll put my mask on and I will put some SLSA in here. I'll also put some kaolin clay and so on. So while it's doing this, I can put my kaolin clay in now. So I'll just put 1 tablespoon of kaolin clay. I also have some cream of tartar. All I have is this little one in here because I've actually ran out of my big one. But you do need, in a mixture like this, you definitely need at least 2 heaped tablespoons. So into this, because the cream of tartar is going to make this to be nice and hard. If you're, if you're doing this and for your clients and you're actually going to be sending this to another state or sending it by mail, you really need cream of tartar to keep this hard. Just having water will not do the job if you're going to be sending this. And imagine if you send this to a shop and you got $1,000 of bath bombs and they all break on the way, you'd be really devastated. So anyway, so like I said, we've done that bit. I will put on my mask in a moment. So I won't be talking for the next bit, but I'll get the paddle and then we'll pop that on first. Do the next bit. This is the paddle. This is the attachment that you need to go onto your stand mixer. So we'll put that on and then we're going to turn it down like that, mix it around, and that's it. But I will put on my mask and add the SLSA and do the extra bits to start with. We need to organize our oils, don't we? So rather than doing the next bit, we'll just push this aside because we really want the oils and everything to go in at once. I just use a little measuring cup. And then, of course, I am going to be using the tablespoon because I have a big mixture in here. We will be adding citric acid, but that's not going in yet. Okay, so we're going to add this bit. So what I usually do is I have little tiny containers full of oils and things like that, just so that it's easier to, tip it all into here. So in here we do have our fragrance oil. So whatever fragrance oil you're going to put in, I'm going to be using a really gorgeous eggnog because it has that kind of chocolatey coffee kind of scent into it. So just 1 tablespoon for a 2 kilo. But if you want it stronger, you can, but do check your requirements. This is less than I'm allowed to have, but I always think this is going on the body, so you need to be really careful and check that it can be used for this as well. So in the meantime, let me organize my little oils. I've got to find those here. So in here, I've got 1 of the sweet almond, which I'm going to pop in there. Then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon in here of jojoba oil. And then we do want to add 1 in here. Now this is polysorbate 80. We really want to add the 1 of the polysorbate 80. And I know this is going to be super, this jar will be very, very full, but that's okay. And so all we're going to do is literally tip it into this mixture that we've already made. So I'll just put this one away for now. And that's it. If I mix this and I feel like this needs more, I will add 1 more tablespoon of sweet almond oil, but I also haven't added in my 1 tablespoon because I couldn't fit it in this jar. So that's all I'm going to do, just pour it in there. And I do also add 1 of apricot kernel. So I'm just going to add that. And the reason I like apricot kernel as well is it's a very light oil. So you don't need to mix it or anything. You've seen how easy that is. You just pop it straight in. And let me show you this. I mean, it actually looks like real chocolate, if you can kind of see that in there. So now let's turn this on. I'll organise the SLSA and I'll pop my mask on so I won't be talking just for a moment. In between, you do need to just get your spoon and you do need to twirl this around a bit so that the chocolate and everything else matches or melts in here as well. Now, I'm just going to add a tiny bit more because I can see this is not as dark as I want it to be. So we are just going to get the sift and then we'll sift it back in here again. And make sure you get everything out of the little jar as well. I didn't pull everything out of my jar before. So let's go and mix it again. All right, so it is totally mixed. Look how gorgeous that looks. So now I have my big bowl and I'm just going to turn it straight into this bowl in here. Let me just take that out. Let me just lower it down so you can see a bit. And then I'm just going to scrape everything out of the big bowl. Put that in the chair behind me. So I always just give this a bit of a mix. Make sure you mix it in. And if, I don't know whether any of you can see, but if you can see how smooth this mixture is, it's not grainy, and a lot of citric acids make it really grainy. And also, if you can see this, it looks really powdery. And I know a lot of people would go, oh, I'm going to put some more witch hazel in it. But if you have a look at this, I mean, this squishes together quite well in your hands. So if you can see, it's holding together. I mean, you know, you could put 1 or 2 more witch hazels in it if you want. But the more witch hazel you add, then the more powdery you're making your mixture. And all we want to do for here is we literally want to make the little bath bombs, and then of course we're going to just sit them down. Once they dry a little bit, then we will start dipping them into some cocoa and make them look really chocolatey with some sprinkles on the top, which is what you would have. But I'll show you how I'm going to do this next bit myself. So if you're going to be doing a bath bomb, you need something like this. This is a 3-piece mold, so it has the shaft, then this little bit here, and all we're going to do is get the mixture, pour it straight in the top of here. I weigh every single bath bomb I make as well for my clients. And then, of course, this is the top and it sits on top, and we're going to squish it in our machine. So let me organize all of this, and then I will bring you back and show you exactly what I'm going to do. All right, so like I said, we do have our bath bomb mold here, and this is a part of the express bath bomb mold and the pieces that you can buy. I think this one here was maybe $80. It is a big one, and this is a realistic bath bomb size. So I make mine to be 150 grams, but you could build it up to 180 or so on. But 150 is, you know, a really good size bath bomb. Anything from 120 to 180 I think is great. But sometimes if there's too much, you don't want too much citric acid and bicarb in the bath, especially with children, because they can get an allergy or a little bit of an itch with it as well. So I always make sure I tell them that you really shouldn't have more than one bath bomb in the bath at one time. Then I do have my bath bomb machine, and literally all we're going to do is pop this in there once it's all ready and squish it down, and then that's exactly how we're going to do it. So let's get this organized. So in here, of course we're going to be putting our mixture in. So I'm just going to tear off my scale because I will need to measure this, and I will show you that in a minute, but I thought I'll just show you this bit first. And if I can give you a tip, what I usually do is I use a spoon and I spoon everything straight in. If you're mixing 2 or 3 colours at once, the best thing to actually do is use a spoon for each colour, and that way you're not going to mix anything up. And I always just go through my mixture and make sure there's no, big bits of brown or, whatever colour, because you don't want to have big bits that are going to just die. So anyway, like I said, we're going to just pop it in here. So we'll just pop our first lot of mixture in here because we want to cover it up. I just shake it to make it even. And then, of course, I do have these tiny little bits that we made before, if you remember. And all we're going to do is just squish a couple in because this is going to be the jam in the donut. So I'm just going to maybe do 3 in here. And it doesn't have to be dry. Don't worry about it drying either. You can just squish it straight in. And then, of course, once this goes in the bath, this fun red bit will come out. And I've already torn this out on my scale, so I'm just going to pop it on in a minute to see that it measures what we want it to measure. And then I will show you also how I get these out of the mold, because there is a bit of a trick to get these out. And always just make sure you let that bit show, because otherwise it gets stuck in the circle in there. So let me just weigh it. So I'm just going to take some out because I've made it too big now. All right, so it's 150 now. And just, don't press it in, just lightly, pop your products in there. And then, of course, we're going to pop the lid on here, and that's it. So, and then we're just going to get this machine here, squish it down. And what this does is it just compacts it to hold a much tighter, more nicer kind of bath bomb, doesn't it? And this is the little stick that comes with these Bath Bomb Express ones. You do have to buy them. So I don't know what they cost, but they're not that expensive. And I actually bought mine through Bath Bomb World in Australia. So just go and check them out if you want. That's how I got mine. And I think I got 2 molds and the mold press for maybe $390 with shipping. So it's not cheap, but it's well worth the money. So I've just wiped away the edges. So if you can see this little ring here, that is going to be the satin ring on your bath bomb. So if you really like that satin ring, you need to make your bath bomb be a little bit bigger, because that way it will compact bigger. Then we're just going to get a pair of scissors or whatever you like, just to give it a little tap. You don't need to bang on them. Be really gentle, because you don't want to break this mold, because as I said, this was $80, this mold, so it's really expensive. And then we'll just wiggle off the top. Always take this piece off first, and look how cute that looks. Doesn't it look chocolatey and delicious? So now all I do with this is I just turn mine out on a basic tray. So I'll go and grab a tray, which I forgot to get before. And then all you're going to do is turn it around. The thing with this is you've got to be really careful, because it will just fall out of this mold. So I kind of like half hold it a little bit and really carefully place it down. Don't be rough, be really gentle, and then just take it off, and then that's it. So you can see how chocolatey and gorgeous that looks. So I will get to make the rest of these, and I will bring you guys back afterwards to show you, and then we'll do the next bit, and we'll ice it, and it will make it look like a real donut. I hope this was nice and easy, this tutorial, but let's get going on the next bit. All right, everyone, I thought I would show you this one. So this is just your typical round one. So I'm just going to pop that in here, and we're going to make these ones 130 grams. So these are going to be your rounds. So the same thing, we're just going to put a little bit in the bottom, maybe 2 more. Maybe we'll do a couple scoops in there. And then we're going to be putting, 1 or 2 bits of the red in there. And then that's it. And then we'll put the top of these on. So I would just measure this up. So, just fill them up. We will just see how much this weighs. We just need a little bit more mixture in this one. All right, so that's 130. Now we're going to put the top on again. Squeeze it in. We'll put it through the machine. Just the same as the donut one. The donut one is definitely more tricky to make than the round. But, you know, look, I get lots of people asking me all the time about how I make them because they've tried for a long time and they can't do them. Look, I'm going to be honest, there's some people that will tell you straight out they actually can't do them. They've tried and they just can't get it right. And that happens, you know, like it really does happen. So don't hate yourself if it doesn't work or something else. It's just the way it is, you know. So I'm just going to fix this one because I had a little tiny bit of water on the end of the mold. And if you have any water, it will stick. So, yeah, so that's one thing to know. And so this is what it's going to look like once I take the top off. So the same bit, I'll put the top back on so that you can actually see. And then the same thing, we're just going to twist it. And then there you go. This is on this side. If you can see that tiny weeny bit there, if you have that problem, I'll show you what to do. If it sticks or anything, this is what you do. So all you're going to do, if one sticks, you're just going to literally pour a little bit more on top, put the top back on, squeeze it by hand, wipe the edges around, give it a bit more of a tap, just a tiny baby tap, and then that's it. And then you fixed the hole on the top. So that's a bit of a trick as well. And let me show you just this. I'm going to move my cord because I'm trying to charge my phone at the same time, but nothing's wet, so it's okay. So now we've got our tray here. So now this is the tricky bit. People always say, how do I get them out? When I put it down, I literally hold very gently my finger over the top. And so you'll see that I've got one finger over the top, and now I'm going to turn it onto the tray and release it. If you don't do that, it will fall to pieces or you'll rip the sides off or something. So let me do another one and I'll just show you again, because that is something that a lot of people make a lot of mistakes with this one. So once again, like I said, we're just going to pop some little red jam bits in the middle of this one. And I will make sure that it's, like I said, it's the 130 because we want to make sure they're all the same. Like I said, if you're selling them, make sure that all the measurements are exactly the same. So we'll just pop it through the machine. And honestly, it will take you a while to get used to doing this. But after you do it a while, you'll be really good at it. But honestly, it does take a bit of time. And the mixture too, you don't want it to dry too much. So once again, I've taken it out. So we're literally just going to carefully, you know, guide it with a finger. And then that's it. If your mixture was wrong, if your mixture was too dry, this would crumble. So it needs to be perfect. Honestly, there is a part of making bath bombs that I have to say it needs to be 100% perfect. Or else it will not work very well and it won't dry well either. But anyway, I'm going to get on to making these and I'll bring all of you back when we're about to glaze them. Well, everything is made, and a big apology because I did forget to show you how I actually put my drizzle on top, but I have shown that in lots of other videos, and all it is just equal parts of cocoa butter and also bicarbonate soda, and then I've just added in a tablespoon of the cocoa powder as well, which is just chocolate powder anyway, and then some sprinkles on top, so that way it sets and looks realistic. And now here is the big one as well. So this is the big donut, and if you can see on the side there, that is the jam that is coming out of the donut. So imagine when that goes in the bath, and then of course the red jam comes out. It's going to look absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I hope you have loved this video. If you think it's worthy, make sure you give me a massive thumbs up and a quick look at all the other bath bombs that I've been doing at the moment. As I said, I've been super duper busy doing lots of wholesale orders. But anyway, hopefully you guys have loved the video, and it's time for me to go to bed. It is 10 p.m. now, and I am just signing off for the night. But of course, I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.